Yo, what's up, everybody? What up? We about to go live. I'm about to teach. Give me 1 second. I got to do one more thing, and we will be good to go. But we about to go live, y'all. Hope everybody is being safe. Hope everybody having a good Thursday. All right, let's do it. Give me 1 more second, y'all. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. All right, here we go. Okay. Where's the door? Okay. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. All right, y'all. I am going to be teaching. I hope y'all are ready to learn. And let's get this party started. And let's get started. All right, y'all. So today we're going to talk about attachment styles. So today we're going to talk about attachment styles. I did tell y'all that I would start with the fearful and avoidant today. Happy Thursday. Super excited to be here with you all. We have 3 more Thursdays that we're going to do this, and we will end it with the secure attachment, and then we'll go on to the next thing of what we're going to talk about and just different, mental health things and different things like that. And so, again, today, like I said, I want to talk about the fearful and avoidant attachment. I'm going to talk about the signs, the patterns, the red flags, the survival signals. I'm going to show you all that. We're going to talk about that as well. And then I'm also going to talk about the internal conflict and different things like that and what that looks like and how to identify it. And then also what I'll do is I'll give you all some prompts, like some questions to ask yourself that you can write in your journal. And then after that, we'll close it out, and that'll be it. And whatever questions you all have, please put them in the chat. I will be sure to respond to them afterwards. But make sure you all, like I said, put your questions in, or whatever questions you may have, or whatever. And let's get right into it. All right, y'all. Let's do it. All right. So the fearful and avoidant. It's the fearful and avoidant, but it's the disorganized attachment, and what that looks like. And so I wanted to, of course, talk about those things today. And as always, y'all know, like, I came to teach. So we're going to teach. I'm going to add some value and whatnot and talk about those things and what it looks like. And then I'm going to show you all the patterns. I know you can't see it right now, but the patterns, the red flags, behaviors that harm others, survival signals, and then tools. And then we'll close it out with some questions or whatever else you all may want to ask. All right. So with the fearful and avoidant, which is the disorganized attachment, right? I've talked about, can y'all see me? I've talked about, the attachment styles, what that means, what it looks like, and all of those different things. So we're gonna, like I said, get into it. And I appreciate y'all being on this with me and supporting me. It means a lot to me. Really rock with y'all, so I really appreciate that. Let me zoom out a little bit. So yeah, okay. All right, there we go. All right, so with the fearful and attachment, like I said, attachment styles, the FA, which is a fearful and avoidant, it is the disorganized attachment. With fearful and avoidant, they avoid emotional inconsistency through the push and pull cycles. So what that looks like is like, you ever had a person that will love bomb you? You ever had that before? You ever had a person that will love bomb you? They come in super hard and then they pull away. So they do like this push and pull cycle. Their core beliefs are, I want connection, but it's dangerous. So love and fear are fused together, right? So they want love, but then they also have fear behind it because closeness, right, is fearful to them, all right? Then how it shows up: intense bonding, followed by withdrawal, confusion, mistreat of self and others, emotional safety, feels unstable across all relationships, all right? Its origin and nuances as far as a fearful avoidant, their fearful avoidant attachment style, the FA. Caregiving was chaotic, frightening, or abusive, strongly linked to unresolved trauma. Yeah, strongly linked to unresolved trauma. This is about survival. All right. So most people in the world that are FAs, it's between 5 to 10% of the world's population, which are fearful and avoidant. I don't know if y'all knew that or not, but I got to give you some facts, got to give you some data, and different things like that. So, like I said, it's between 5 to 10% of the world's population that are fearful avoidance, that are FAs or disorganized, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, if y'all got any questions or anything, make sure you put them in the chat. And then let's just go ahead and let's keep it up. All right. So people that are fearful and avoidant, let me give you some signs of what that looks like. Okay. So for fearful avoidance, some of the signs are they have very low self-esteem, difficulty asking for help or support, plenty of negative views and emotions, fear of rejection, closeness. And then they have a high anxiety when forming close relationships. So I used to be a fearful and avoidant, right? And with that, with me being a fearful and avoidant, of course, it came from the trauma and different things like that I experienced in my life as an adolescent, as a child. But I had very low self-esteem, right? Like when I say very low self-esteem, like I'm talking about I made 3 attempts to commit suicide before I was 18. Why? Because I didn't know my value, right? I didn't know my worth. And so when it comes to different things like that, these are some of the signs that you will see in people that are FAs or that are disorganized and different things like that. So I want you all to pay attention. And then also what I want you all to understand is that just because you have one of these attachments doesn't mean that something is wrong with you, right? It's how you respond to relationships. It's how you respond to romantic relationships, friendships. It's how you respond to, conflict and different things like that, right? So it's not to say that something is wrong with you, right? Because I know I've had some people hit me up and they like, Logan, like, does that mean that something's wrong with me? No, not necessarily. That's not what that means. That's not what that means at all. All right. So I want you all to understand that it does not mean that something is wrong with you. Okay. So let me get into this. So an FA is the A for connection, paired with fear of being seen. You don't run from love because you don't want it. You run because your body learned it wasn't safe. So when I say I was a fearful and avoidant, right? Like there were moments and times where, okay, I'll tell y'all this. So when I was a kid, my love language was words of affirmations, right? Like I wanted to be validated, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. Like it didn't matter. I wanted to be validated, right? So much to the point that if somebody wanted me to do something bad or negative, I would do that because I was seeking validation um so badly. Does that make sense? Right? Like if a girl said, "Oh, I like guys that are stupid and dumb," well, I'm gonna go ahead and paint the clown face on me with the red nose because I'm about to act a fool in the circus. Like that's the type of time I was on because I wanted validation so bad. So I learned and I ran because when I thought about love, it wasn't safe for me, right? And that has been passed down, right? Because my biological parents, right? Like they had trauma that they dealt with. That they experienced, right? They had trauma that they experienced and they didn't deal with it, right? I dealt with mine by going to therapy, and there's some other tools that I'm going to recommend and suggest to you all. But specifically, when it comes to being a fearful and avoidant, right? Like you don't run, like you don't get people that are avoidance, like they know. How can I say this? They know that, like, yo, like, okay, I'll put it this way, like they yearn for a relationship, right? Like they yearn for having a relationship. They yearn for having, closeness and different things like that. But when it's time to buckle down and for things to happen and for things to shake, they're gonna run from it because it doesn't if it doesn't feel safe, right? So in that capacity, when it comes to those things, I want to talk about internal conflict because I can identify and I can tell you all some things that I dealt with, right? When I was doing some research and I was writing this, I was like, I did all of these things, right? Like I suppressed my emotions, the passive aggressive behaviors and different things like that. So let's talk about it for a second, okay? So internal conflict, when it comes to an FA, which is a fearful and avoidant, it is internal conflict is by suppressing emotions, withdrawing physical or emotionally, right? They are withdrawing physically or emotionally. Like when I say physically or emotionally, I'm talking about physically, like hypothetically speaking, you know what I'm saying? Like they will withdraw from having sex. They will withdraw from, physical touch. They will withdraw from kissing and different things like that, right? Like they will withdraw from that. They will punish you or give you the cold shoulder and different things like that. All right. Using passive aggressive behaviors to avoid vulnerability, right? Like I used to not like being vulnerable with people because I felt like, you're going to use it against me. I thought vulnerability, when I looked at vulnerability as a young person, or as a kid, or even as a student, I looked at vulnerability as harm. I looked at vulnerability as a bad thing, right? So also with that, using passive aggressive behaviors to avoid vulnerability, they also often do a freeze or they shut down, right? So they do a freeze or shutdown method using techniques like cold shoulders, right? Like I remember when I look back in relationships that I've been in, like I would shut down and then give them the cold shoulder and not talk to them because I didn't feel safe, right? So with that, right? That's some of the things in regards to like internal conflict that an FA would have. Also, with the cold shoulder, um, they agree to things that they don't mean to keep peace, which leads to resentment or emotional outbursts. So, like I told you all I was an FA, and so with me being an FA, like I told you all, like I would hold stuff in, right? And so with holding stuff in and different stuff like that, what I would do is like I said, like I would literally give the cold shoulder to an individual and different things like that. And so that's what that looked like when it comes to attachment, you know what I'm saying, as a fearful and avoidant attachment, right? So that's what, some of the things and one of the things and what it looked like. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you all the patterns, the survival signals, and the red flags. I'm going to take this board down for a second, and I'm going to put my other one up, and then I want to show you all the patterns. All right, so I want to do that. I hope y'all can see that. If you can't, I'm gonna zoom in for you, but I hope y'all can see that a little bit. Let me zoom in a little more. All right, zoom in a little more up here. Hope y'all can see that. Hey man, make sure y'all share this with people, man. Make sure y'all let them know, like, hey, Y.B.Normal's going live, and they talking about the fearful and attack. They talking about a fearful and avoidant attachment style. So y'all know I just want to add value. I want to help people. And I want to help people be the best versions of themselves. So again, like I said, fearful and avoidant, that's what we're talking about today. The fearful and avoidant attachment style, what that looks like, and different things like that. All right. So let's get back into it. All right. So now what we're going to talk about right now, like I said, we're talking about the fearful and avoidant attachment style. But what we're going to talk about right now is we're going to talk about the patterns. We're going to talk about the red flags. We're going to talk about the survival signals. And then we're going to talk about the tools. So I'm going to give you all some tools and whatnot so that way you all ain't out here just, just doing whatever. All right? So patterns. So we're going to talk about patterns right now when it comes to a fearful and avoid FA or a disorganized attachment, or FA, which is a fearful and avoidant, right? So patterns, there are some patterns that they do, right? So they have push-pull relationships, right? Intense closeness, then sudden withdrawal, right? So push-pull in relationships. So what that looks like is they come in super hard and then they pull away. They come in super hard and then they pull away. They come in super hard and then they pull away. All right. Intense closeness. They don't want any type of intense closeness. If they feel any type of intense closeness, they're gonna withdraw. Right. So it's a sudden withdrawal. They crave connection, which is it's not just fearful avoidance, it's all avoidance that crave connection, but it's a different way that they crave it. And I'm gonna break that down next week when we talk about the anxious attachment. All right, so they crave connection, but fears it. So they fear it, right? So a FA, they crave connection, but they fear it. And then you know what else? They're confused about what they want. You ever had somebody like you ask them like, hey, what do you want in this friendship? What do you want in this relationship? What do you want in this situation that we got going on? They're confused about it. You ever had somebody like that that's confused about it, like they don't really know and different things like that? No? Yes? Maybe so? Okay. Um, what I want you to know when it comes to these patterns as a FA, these patterns didn't form because they were broken, right? You're not broken. I need you to understand that. Listen to me. You're not broken. All right? They formed because your nervous system learned love wasn't consistently safe and it adapted. All right? The question I want to ask you all, and listen, if you are one of those people that you like to journal and different things like that, and you're like on this healing journey of trying to figure things out and whatnot, I want you to write this question down. I'll also put the questions in the chat. What I'll do is I'll make a slide for all of the questions for Fearful Avoidant, and then you all can take them and put them in your journal and write them or whatever the case may be, okay? So the question is, it says, when closeness started to feel uncomfortable, what did my body feel and what was it trying to protect me from? I'm gonna let that question I'm gonna let that question hold for a second. When closeness started to feel uncomfortable, what did my body feel and what was it trying to protect me from? All right, y'all got that? All right, cool. So when we talk about patterns and we talk about push and pull in relationships, what I want you all to understand is that it's not manipulation. It's more so of a internal tug of war, right? One part of the nervous system moves towards connection for safety and comfort, while the other moves away to prevent harm. So what's really happening is that closeness activates old fear, distance activates old abandonment pain. So this person oscillates between the two, trying to regulate the systems. All right. It's not that you don't know what you want, it's that different parts of you want different things at the same time. Okay. Remember, I told you the patterns, right? So that's the push and pull in relationships. Intense and then sudden withdrawal. A fearful avoidant attachment often moves fast emotionally because closeness feels urgent, and regulating at first moves fast emotionally because closeness feels urgent and regulating at first. So in the beginning, if you've ever had a person that you dated or dealt with, and it's like, yo, like emotionally, it's like, yo, they coming on heavy, right? They're coming on extremely heavy. It's because closeness to them feels very urgent, very fast, different things like that, all right? But once intimacy deepens, the nervous system interprets, yes, the nervous system interprets it as danger. So this is what a withdrawal would look like from a FA. They become quiet or emotionally numb, needing space without knowing how much, finding faults or reasons to disconnect. All right. So what I also want you to understand, and I had to learn this the hard way, is that withdrawal isn't rejection. It's your body hitting its tolerance limit for closeness. All right. Withdrawal isn't rejection. It's your body hitting your tolerance limit for closeness. Okay. Craves connection but fears it. Connection feels like home and a threat. Love is associated with pain, inconsistency, or loss. So desire and fear are fused together. Right. So the internal experience of what that may look like for a fearful and avoidant is longing for intimacy, distrusting it once it's offered, feeling shame for needing people. Like, yo, like I used to have a bad habit of asking for help or asking for support, and different things like that. Like I would feel shameful for wanting to ask people to help me or to support me. Like I used to feel shameful for things like that. So what I want you all to understand is that that internal that internal fight that a fearful avoidant has, they're not afraid of love, but they're afraid of what love. So you're not afraid of love. You're afraid of what love cost you before. So I think about the times, right, when I was a fearful and avoidant, and I can show you all the picture too. I'm gonna put that. I'll put that in the slides as well. But when I think about love, I think about what I lost and what it cost me. Because there were people that I told that I loved, right? There were people that said, "Hey, Logan, this is a safe space. You can be vulnerable. You can be transparent, and all of those different things." And when I did those things, they hurt me, right? Um, so want you all to understand that, right? Confusion about what they want, right? So confusion about what they want. A fearful avoidant individual often don't trust their own desires because wanting closeness once led to hurt. What confusion really means is that switching between attachment states, not knowing if discomfort means this isn't right or this is scary, second guessing feelings after emotional moments. Confusion is what happens when safety was inconsistent. You learn to doubt your own signals, right? I want love, but I'm scared of it, right? This isn't resistance, it's grief and protection layered together. So I want you all to understand that, like, if you are dating a fearful and avoidant, or if you are a fearful and avoidant, understand that they do want love, but they're scared of love, right? Like love is scary to them, and it's not resistance, right? It's grief and protection layered together. So they're trying to protect themselves. Does that make sense? All right, good. What's underneath that when they say they want love but they're scared of it? Grief for unmet needs, fear of repeating past pain, desire to feel safe without being consumed. All right. Your fear doesn't cancel out your desire for love, it proves how deeply you care. So I had to learn that, right? Like it doesn't cancel out my desire for love when I was a fearful and avoidant. It proved how deeply I cared for people. It proved how deeply I wanted love and different things like that, right? So let's go with the red flags, right? So red flags. And so when I say red flags, I'm talking about the behaviors that the fearful and avoidant does that harms others. Does that make sense? Y'all get what I'm saying? Make sure y'all share this with some people. All right, share this with some people if y'all find value in it. Make sure y'all share this with some people if y'all find value in it. Any questions or anything that y'all got or anything like that, y'all holler at me, and let me know. But like I said, make sure y'all, you know what I'm saying, holler at your boy. Let me know what y'all thinking. All right. So again, we are talking about the fearful and avoidant attachment style. We're going to talk about red flags, so behaviors that harm others. All right. So consistent refusal to take responsibility, emotional abuse or control, repeated dishonesty or secrecy, chronic avoidance of repair. All right. Not every reaction is a red flag, but patterns without repair become one. My God, that's a bar. I'm gonna let that marinate and sit in y'all spirit for a second. Not every reaction is a red flag, but patterns without repair become one. All right. The question is that I have for you all in that moment: was I trying to protect myself, or was I trying to control the outcome to avoid discomfort? Right? Were you trying to protect yourself, And when you had a moment of tension or conflict, were you trying to protect yourself or were you trying to control the outcome to avoid discomfort? It's a real question. All right. But what that looks like when it comes to red flags and behaviors that harm others, even when rooted in fear, manipulating or testing loyalty, right? So that often shows up as creating distance, withholding affection, or provoking jealousy to see if someone will stay. So as a fearful avoidant, you sometimes get people that will try to test or manipulate your loyalty. Does that make sense? Y'all picking up what I'm laying down? Okay, good. Also, it puts emotional risk on the other person. And then it replaces honesty with control. So remember, I told you all I was a fearful avoidant. I was an FA, right? So with me being an FA, like I would literally try to control every single thing that was in my life. Every single thing that was in my life, I tried to control it. I tried my best to. Okay. So let's finish up. All right. So fear explains behavior, but it doesn't make manipulation harmless. Remember, we're talking about red flags, behaviors that harm others, even when rooted in fear, right? Fear explains behavior, but it doesn't make manipulation harmless. All right. Number two, chronic avoidance of repair, avoiding hard conversations, ghosting after conflict, or refusing to revisit ruptures. Like you ever had somebody that you tell them, hey, listen, I want to have a conversation and you hurt me. And they refuse to have that conversation, or they refuse to revisit the conversation. Like they'll hear you out because it's going through one ear and out the other, but they refuse to revisit what they messed up. Because if I have to acknowledge that I messed up, now I'm bringing discomfort to myself. Ooh, boy, that's good, Logan. That's real good. All right. What's underneath chronic avoidance of repair is shame, the fear of being seen as too much or bad, and then why it's a red flag. Relationships require repair to feel safe. You ever been in a relationship with someone or dated someone or whatever, and they don't want to repair or take accountability or responsibility for the part that they played in the equation? Avoidance leaves the other person carrying unresolved pain, right? When you get someone that wants to avoid, accountability, or they want to avoid responsibility, what happens is that now you have that other person carrying unresolved pain because you choose not to acknowledge it, right? Like a fearful and avoidant chooses not to acknowledge it. They will literally run and ghost when it comes to conflict or trying to have a conversation and different things like that. All right. Distance without repair isn't self-care. It's disconnection, right? So you get people sometimes that they will say, yo, I'm protecting my peace because they're trying to ghost, they're trying to, distance themselves from you or whatever the case may be after you all have had some tension or some conflict, when that's not it, right? That's not peace. That's not self-care, as you know what I'm saying, we would say. It's disconnection because you don't want to be connected, right? Like as a fearful and avoidant, right? FA doesn't want to be connected to accountability or responsibility, right? Like they're not going to apologize. So I want you all to understand that, okay? Repeated dishonesty or secrecy, right? So repeated dishonesty or secrecy. Remember, I told you I was an FA. So I would be very private. I would, there were secrets about things that I wouldn't share with people or tell people and different things like that. Like there's a difference between being private and being secretive. There's a difference between the two, right? Like when I say like being secret, like if you're in a relationship with someone, you're like, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna post this relationship. I'm not gonna tell people that I'm in a relationship. I'm not gonna show people that I'm in a relationship, right? Like that's being secretive, right? So again, when we talk about these things and we're talking about a fearful and avoidant attachment style, these are some of the red flags and behaviors that they do. All right. So when it comes to repeated dishonesty and secrecy, hiding feelings, intentions, or actions to avoid conflict or vulnerability, they fear that honesty will lead to rejection, the lack of trust in others' capacity to handle truth. And then here's why it's a red flag. It's a red flag because trust erodes without transparency. I'm gonna say it one more time for the people in the back. Trust erodes without transparency. Okay? Safety cannot grow where truth is absent. So you can't feel safe if you're not willing to be truthful, right? Like you can't come out of this fearful and avoidant attachment, right? Like you can't stop being an FA if you can't grow where the truth is. Like if you don't feel safe being vulnerable or you don't feel safe telling the truth or different things like that. Okay? Protection that requires secrecy eventually becomes harm. So if you feel like, yo, I need to, hide my feelings, my intentions, or my actions to avoid conflict or vulnerability, then what's gonna happen is that you're eventually going to harm the other person. Does that make sense? Okay. The next one is emotional abuse or control. So when we talk about that, we're saying this includes gaslighting, invalidating feelings, stonewalling, or unpredictable emotional availability used to maintain power. So what's underneath that and what that looks like is that is dysregulation. Okay? A need to regain control when overwhelmed by these different emotions and different things like that. Does that make sense? Y'all get what I'm saying? Okay, good. Why is the red flag? It damages another person's sense of reality and worth. Trauma does not justify harm. Let me say that one more time. Trauma does not justify harm. So there are some people out there that are, they have these different attachment styles, right? There are people out there that are FAs and they're just like, hey, listen, this is just who I am. You got to accept it. No, we don't. We don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept somebody mistreating you. You don't have to accept somebody abandoning you. You don't have to accept somebody discarding you. You don't have to accept somebody, doing this push and pull thing with you. You don't have to accept someone avoiding accountability and responsibility for the part that they played in the equation because that's not fair, right? You can't say you want closeness or you crave closeness or you crave a relationship or you crave love, and then when it's time to have a conversation about some type of conflict, now you want to avoid it. That's not fair. All right. So being triggered doesn't give permission to traumatize others. All right. Being triggered doesn't give permission to traumatize others. All right. And where's the question? All right, so let's go to survival. Let's go to survival signals. All right, so survival signals are emotional flooding, hypervigilance for rejection, mixed messages, over attachment, and sudden distancing, self-sabotage before others can leave. Survival signals are not flaws; they're your nervous system doing its job a little too well. All right. The question that I have is, it says, what is my body feeling right now, and what does it need to feel safe, not what it needs to escape? Okay. So when we talk about the survival signals, right? Number 3, we're talking about the survival signals. What that looks like is this happens when closeness, conflict, or vulnerability exceeds the nervous system's capacity to stay regulated, right? So what it feels like internally, or what FA may be saying to themselves, is it says too much emotion too fast. They may see panic, confusion, or emotional chaos, the urge to escape, shut down, or lash out. And then here's why it happens. The body learned that intense emotion plus closeness equals danger. All right. Flooding isn't drama, it's a nervous system that lost its window of tolerance. All right. Hypervigilance for rejection, the nervous system is constantly scanning for signs that love might disappear. That love might disappear. All right. What it looks like is overanalyzing tone, timing, or changes in behavior, right? Reading meaning into silence or distance, bracing for abandonment even during good moments. I can talk about that, right? Like when there were things going well in my childhood, I still thought about, yo, I'm gonna be abandoned, right? I still thought about, yo, somebody's gonna leave me, right? All right. So hypervigilance isn't mistrust, it's appreciation shaped by past loss. All right. Number three, self-sabotage before others can leave. Leaving first feels safer than being left. So I used to be one of those people that when I would date someone or I would be in a relationship with someone, I was one of those individuals as a FA, I gotta hurt you before you hurt me. I know some people out there that's doing that. I was one of them, right? So leaving first feels safe than being left. What it looks like is pulling away when things are going well, creating conflict or emotional distance, in relationships abruptly, or going cold. Why it happens? Control reduces the pain of potential rejection. Self-sabotage is an attempt to control pain and not avoid love. All right. Mixed messages. I ain't put this one up there, but I'm gonna tell you. Actually, I did. I did put mixed messages. I put it up there. I'm sorry. My bad. Let's do it. Mixed messages. I care, but I need space. Right. So what that looks like is two nervous system states are activated at once: attachment and protection. What's really happening is one part wants closeness and reassurance. Another part fears dependence or loss. Why this happens? Love was inconsistent or unsafe, so desire and fear merged together. Remember, I told you all that love and fear are fused together when it comes to an FA, right? So, mixed messages aren't manipulation, they're two survival responses speaking at the same time. Okay? So, I want to make sure we say that. Okay? We're talking about the fearful and avoidant attachment style. Talking about the fearful and avoidant attachment style. We almost done. We almost out of here. I promise you we are. I know I said 45 minutes, but I gotta get this. I gotta tell y'all this stuff. I gotta get this stuff done and knocked out. All right. So let's finish up. All right, man. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody being on here. I appreciate everybody rocking with your boy, and whatnot. I really, really do. So again, make sure y'all share this with somebody. And let me finish up here. All right, here we go. So we're talking about mixed messages. All right. So mixed messages and what that looks like when it comes to a fearful and avoidant, or the disorganized attachment is what it's called. Let me make sure I tell y'all. And like I said, make sure y'all share this with somebody. And I appreciate y'all being here. Okay. All right. So let's finish up. All right. Mixed messages aren't manipulation. They're two survival responses speaking at the same time. All right. So also, when we talk about over plus sudden distancing, this is what it looks like. Initially regulates, then overwhelmed. What it looks like is intense bonding early on, emotionally merging, and then withdrawal. They're gonna just withdraw abrupt once intimacy deepens. That makes sense. Y'all with me? Y'all picking up what I'm with? Okay. So why this happens? Closeness feels safe until it triggers vulnerability and fear. All right. What feels like inconsistency is actually a nervous system searching for safety. I'm gonna say it one more time. So that way, let me say it a little bit slower. What feels like inconsistency actually a nervous system searching for. So what I want to say to you all in all of these things when it comes to survival signals is these survival signals keep you safe. What? Healing is learning and you no longer when you are no longer in danger. Let's say it one more time. These survival signals keep you safe. Once is learning, we're no longer in danger. Okay? And then let's go to the tools. Let's get these tools knocked out. Let me tell you all about these tools, and then we will close it out. All right. So let's finish up. We'll close it out after this. All right, y'all. So let's um, finish it up. Give me 1 second. We almost done. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I appreciate y'all supporting the key. Uh, Make sure y'all share this with your people in your community. Let's go ahead and let's finish this up. All right. So when it comes to tools, right? I know some of you all are probably thinking, like, yo, Logan, how can I get better? What does that look like? What tools do I need for me to get out of being a fearful and avoidant and crossing over to being a secure attachment? Right? So some tools and what that looks like, or how to create a safe space for yourself, or how that person can create a safe space for you is rituals, right? Regulation, communication, that's going to be a big one. Let's start by that, right? Communication, self, and I'll give you all some tools that different things like that, all right? So, small repeated moments of safety change the nervous system more than one big breakthrough. So, what I need you all to understand in this is that, listen, if you really want to make the necessary changes that you need to make when it comes to being fearful, avoidant, and crossing over to a secure attachment, there need to be small repeated moments of safety to change the nervous system. It doesn't need to be one big breakthrough. Please do not think that you're going to go to therapy once and automatically be healed or change or whatever the case may be, because that's not how it works. Like you really have to think about it. right? Like I have one of my good friends named her company is called Learn, right? So I remember when she started it and she told the idea of it and different things like that. And, how we have to unlearn. So like I didn't start going to therapy at 2018, right? Well, think about September 2018, me going to therapy. That's when I was born in 1980, July 20, 1987. Think about all of the trauma that I experienced up to from a baby to a kid to a teenager to a young man until a young adult. You think that if you go to therapy once, that you're gonna automatically get all of the tools that you need and train? No, it don't work like that. And so, rituals and what this looks like, we'll give you all some rituals. What this looks like is fearful and avoidant patterns, excuse me, fearful and avoidant patterns, when people disconnect from themselves before disconnecting from others. Check-ins build self-trust and they install automatic push and pull responses. Okay? Here's tools that you can do. You can do a 1 minute body scan. And so what that looks like is you say, hey, where do I feel tension or fear right now? Right? A 1 minute body scan. You don't have to do 60 seconds. It's 24 hours in a day. You can do this sitting down at your desk. You can do this car on the bus, at the bus stop, while you walk into class, while you walk into the bathroom, wherever the case may be. Where do I feel tension or fear right now? The next thing is name the feeling. Say it plainly. I feel anxious. I feel overwhelmed. I feel guarded. Like things that I did for me to become a secure attachment. Right? Like I sit in the feelings and the different things like that. You can do a one sentence reflection after your actions. When blank happened, my body felt blank, and I want to. Right. The next one is the regulation. Some insight. What that looks like is you can't talk your way out of a dysregulated nervous system. Regulation widens your tolerance, so closeness doesn't feel like. So when you have a dysregulated nervous system, your window is very, 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 very small. Right? It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. However, when you do the work, right, what happens is that now your nervous system starts to regulate. So now what happens is now that widens your window. All right. Tools when it comes to regulation tools, you can do the box breathing. So you can do the 4-4-4-4. So you inhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and then 2 seconds. And you do 4 counts each, and you do 3 to 5 rounds. That's gonna help your nervous system regulate itself. So it's called box breathing, but you do it at the 4-4-4-4 method. That's what you do, right? You do grounding. So count it down, 5, 3, 2, 1, and then what you do is you name what you see, touch, hear, smell, or taste. Okay? Those are 5 things. Okay, you name what you can see, touch, hear, smell, or taste. Okay, it's called the grounding tool. All right. Movement reset. Right. A movement reset is walk, stretch, or shake your body for 30 to 90 seconds. Right? That is for regulation tools. Talk about communication because this is key. Right? So we're talking about communication. Fearful avoidant nervous systems often go silent or reactive. Clearly, I'm sorry. Fearful avoidant nervous systems often go silent or reactive. Clear, simple language creates safety without forcing emotional exposure. So when we talk about communication, right, as a fearful avoidant, right, they do the cold shoulder, they pull away, they distance themselves, right? Like that, right? However, when communicating, it's okay for you to say, hey, need a moment to process. You can say, hey, I need a moment. Can we take this? Can you give me a couple hours to process my emotions and my feelings, and then I'll come back to you, right? So you can say, hey, I need to process. You can also say, I care about you, and I'm feeling nervous about closeness. You can send it in a text message, have a face-to-face conversation, you can have a FaceTime conversation. You can have a voice conversation over the phone, right? Another thing that you can say when it comes to communication, I I still want connection, right? So there have been moments where there have been moments where when I was an avoidant, I was dealing with conflict or I was dealing with some. There were moments where I would say, "Hey, um, I need a moment to process. I'm with you, right? I'm not disconnecting from you. Like I still want this relationship. I still want to work on this. I still want to work towards, I still want to deal with you. I need a moment to process. Right now, my feelings hurt. Right now, what I'm feeling, listen, this is why I'm feeling this way. What you said, X, Y, and Z, or what you did, X, Y, and Z, is making me feel this way. Here's why. Instead of me just running the cold shoulder or disengaging, or just suddenly just distancing. That makes sense. The last one is self-soothing, right? So self-soothing, right? Self-soothing. Let me give you all some insight. Self-soothing to the nervous system that safety doesn't have to come only from others or isolation. When I was dealing with some internal conflict internally, I wanted to isolate myself, right? Most fearful and avoidant, they want to isolate themselves and they are hurt, they are feeling some type of tension, feeling conflict when they don't feel safe and different things like that. Okay. Here are some tools that you can do. Drink a warm drink, right? Drink it mindfully, right? Whether it's hot tea, hot cocoa, whatever the case may be, you can drink a warm, okay? What you do is that you're gonna do slow sips, and you're gonna notice the temperature and the breath of what you're breathing, how it's making. I recommend is for you to drink tea. Hot tea, hot tea is always good. Um, when you're having those moments and things like that, you need to do some self-soothing. All right. Another one is your hand on your chest when you do deep breaths. So what that does is that safe touch and breath. Like all of these things that I'm suggesting, I've done these things. I'm never gonna ask anything. Never gonna ask anything of you all or recommend anything to you all that I have. Okay, hands and chest plus deep breath. So hands and chest, deep breath. Work. I promise you it does. Um, Another one is calming music. I don't know if anybody's into music like that, but calming music, 5 minutes. Choose steady and predictable, right? And again, small repeated moments of safety change the nervous system more than one big breakthrough. All right. And then I'm gonna give you all of these. I put the question. I will put the questions on a slide. I'll do that and post it tomorrow. I'll put the questions on a slide. I'll put them on our social media platforms, and then you all will be able to contact and answer those questions. You can leave them when your journals. You can do it a comment. If you want to leave a comment, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And then I wanted to give you all some prompts, which is the last tool, and then we'll get up out of here. So here's one journal prompt. What happens in my body? Excuse me. What happens in my body right before I pull away, shut down, or get reactive? What does that sensation mean? When I crave closeness but feel afraid, what story am I telling myself about what will happen if I stay? Question number three. What would it look like to stay connected to myself? Even if I all right. And so those are the three journal prompts that I want to give to you all. And then before we get up out of here, as always, listen, man, I'll go to our website. I'll see 50 ways that I be normal. I took 50 synonyms and antonyms and put Y.B.Normal in the front of it. And told a story behind it. So, like for example, why be faithful? Why be courageous? Um, why be a failure and different things like that. And I told a story behind it, and then what I did was I left a space for the reader or the supporter to be able to tell a story or a moment where they felt courageous or faithful, or they dealt with failure and different things like that. So this is a great book, really, really good book. I said, thick. It's got 200 and, what, 202, 202 pages. Yeah, 202 pages. So this is a good book, right? Um, there is a guide to reclaiming your narrative, principles like courage, faith, and self-love, all built through stories of overcoming adversity and achievement. What I want to say to you all is that this is just a book, it's a movement that equips you with the tools to rewrite your story instead of holding you to your purpose. And then, of course, this is a lot of people's favorite. It is a normal scares me. It's a self-esteem book, as some of you all know. I had very low self-esteem growing up as a kid. So what I learned how to do affirmation, how to speak, boldly and confidently for myself. Uh, this was one of the tools that I used to help build my confidence up. So with that, this almost self-esteem book, really good book. And you have different, I tell stories of like why college scared me, and different things like that. And so average scares me, scares me, adversity scares me, purpose scares me, different things. And so this book is a really good book for anybody that's dealing with low self are fearful and avoidant. Most fearful and avoidance have very same this book right here. You can go to our website and check it out. Shop ybnormalgear.com, or you can go to our website at ybnormal.org. Be able to, but this is a really good book as well. So before we get up right here, again, we talked about the avoidant attachment style today. Next week, Thursday, we will talk about the style. I'm really excited about that one. I'm gonna go in real heavy on the next few attachment styles and talk about some different things. But I'm super excited. I will again the questions that are on here. I will post them on our social media platforms tomorrow. We'll make sure that I share those out with you all. I will also put the three common prompts as well for you all. So check that out on our social media platforms. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And then also make sure you share this out with somebody if you found value what we, what I did, and And I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for rocking with the boy. And as always, YB Normal when you there. I'll see y'all next Thursday. Love y'all.